Let's dive into this story. So, Vice President of the school board, newly elected, Seth Holden, um, he was actually going to be on the show today. And wait to hear this story. Like, I guess you got to ask yourself: is public service just dead? Do people that we elect truly want to serve the public, or is there some other agenda? And I'll explain in a moment. But just to give you some context, so for the people that are watching online, thank you to Sarasota Fargo. So, Chris, if you want to share this, I'll put it up here. But I'm just going to share with them and for you what happened last night. So they get ready to do the pledge. The newly elected Vice President, Seth Holden, you'll hear, and I'll kind of walk you through it for those of you listening on the radio.
Fargo Public Schools. Let us all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
So he stands up and then takes a knee. Seth Holden stands up and then takes a knee. Now, to be fair, as we go through this conversation, I always like the quote from Voltaire: I will fight to my death to protect your right to say whatever you want. And that's true for me. I will fight to my death for you to have the right to say whatever you want. The question is, will Seth Holden do the same? Right? Will Seth Holden do the same for you? So before I explain to you what's going on here with him kneeling during the Pledge of Allegiance as the Vice President of the Fargo School Board. By the way, speaking of freedom, we are your daily dose of truth to help set you free. I've got two words for you. Think about freedom, and I've got two words for you today. School choice. When the Vice President of the school board kneels for the Pledge of Allegiance, and I've got some incredible tape I'm going to play for you here in a moment, if that doesn't scream to you, you know what? It's now time. It's time that North Dakota has got a voucher program, an education savings account, so that as you're going out and paying these exorbitant property taxes, guess what? That money is going back to you. It's going back to you to follow your student, whether you want to teach them at home, a private school, whatever that may be. We may dive into that later in the show. But here's what's really important for you to know. The people of Fargo, which, by the way, was only 12% in Cass County that got out to vote in the midterm. So as I say this, I do struggle to make it's only 12% of the people got out to vote in the midterm. And you vote these people into office to be public servants. So let me walk through a timeline with you that, again, this isn't proof of anything, but I think you can hear the timestamps and come to your own conclusion and ask yourself, hey, are these people actually there to serve the public, or is there another agenda? So earlier today, super producer Chris Larson and I are talking about the show. Who should we get on? He's like, hey, there's a new president for the school board. I said, great. Why don't you email Tracy Newman, which, by the way, she's the new Madam President there, and I'll give her a call. So I called Tracy Newman at 11:15 a.m. The numbers here are important. The timeline is important. 11:15 a.m. I call up Tracy, leave her a message. Chris emails her, and then Chris was like, hey, wait, did you see this? The vice president, the new vice president of the school board, he's kneeling during the pledge. I'm like, say what? He's like, yeah, he's kneeling. He sent me the tape. I'm like, all right, call him, see if he'll join us. So Chris emails Seth Holden at 11:21 a.m. Hey, Seth, Chris Berg requested an interview with you this afternoon, 4:06 p.m. Are you available? 11:36. So what's that? 15 minutes later, Seth says, yeah, I am. Okay, great. So then at 11:40, 4 minutes later, Chris emails him back and says, hey, can you be in studio or by phone? A minute later, 11:41. Again, timeline is important. 11:41 a.m., Seth says, I would prefer phone. Then, remember, I had called Tracy Newman at 11:15. Chris had emailed her about the same time. Then at 11:53, so 11:41, Seth's like, yeah, I'll be there by phone. All sounds good. 11:53 a.m., so 12 minutes later, I get an email from Anne Marie Campbell. She's the communications director, executive assistant at the Fargo School Board. Hey, Chris, Dr. Newman wanted to let me know you reached out about possibly being on the show. Unfortunately, today she's in clinic. Time you proposed does not work for her schedule. She's got another line in there. So that's at 11:53. Then at 11:59. Now, remember, Chris has emailed this gentleman several times. Several times it's been, yeah, I'm available at 4:06. Let's do this by phone. I get an email from Anne Marie at 11:53. Then all of a sudden, at 11:59, Seth Holden emails back Chris Larson, goes, Chris, and I'm quoting here, my apologies, but it looks like I read my calendar incorrectly, and it turns out I will not be available. Sorry for the confusion. Seth Holden. I have no proof. We did an open records request with Anne Marie Campbell. There was only a couple emails that came back that were from super producer Chris Larson. And if you look at the timeline, Seth Holden's all in. He's all in. Then all of a sudden, somebody somewhere, oh, excuse me, got in Seth's ear. And next thing you know, Seth misread his schedule. Again, I can't prove anything, but definitely seems interesting. Now, let's talk about a vice president of the school board kneeling for the Pledge of Allegiance. I want to play something for you back from April 5th of this year. You may remember they actually had a vote. Hey, are we going to keep the Pledge of Allegiance in these school board meetings or not? At that point in time, Seth Holden as well was a nay. He did not want the Pledge of Allegiance to be spoken, used at the school board meeting. So I'm going to play for you a clip of why he is a no, and we're going to go through this together. Please listen to this closely. Please listen closely, and remember, this person you're about to hear from is now the newly elected vice president of the Fargo School Board that is overseeing your kids.
Will this act cause the board to do better work?
Jacob, can you crank this up, please?
I would answer no. I'm extremely happy to be an American. I wouldn't wish to live in any other place in the world. And one of the main reasons why I love to be an American is because I get to choose what I say and I get to choose what I don't say. If I don't want to do this Pledge of Allegiance at every single board meeting, it's not because I don't have allegiance to my country. It's not because I don't love my country. It is because there are words in the Pledge of Allegiance that I don't think are true.
Wow. Wow. What does Jesus say again? Go ahead and those who have not sinned, throw the first stone. Something like that. I don't know. Just in that book called the Bible.
I firmly believe that as much as we strive, and we all do as Americans, strive so that every single person in this country has liberty and justice. But the fact of the matter is that not every single person in this country has liberty.
My bad. What was I thinking as I was presenting this to you? Of course, Seth Holden right here is talking about the people from January 6th that have been locked up in the clink for the past 12 months or more, and some of them in solitary confinement. Don't we have a right in this country to a speedy trial? Defense in a speedy trial. I think we have that right. So he must be knowing Seth that he's not going to stand for the pledge. He's clearly talking about, hey, you know what? I know the people from January 6th are not getting a speedy trial. That is why I think there's injustice in America.
Has justice. And for me, who does not want to partake in this, as I said, it's not because I don't love my country, and it's not because I am not a patriotic person. It's not because I haven't had family members sacrifice themselves for this.
Just wait for some of this. There's a line in here you're going to again, this is the vice president of the Fargo School Board.
Country. It's because I feel that us as citizens should be mentors to our country. And our mentors are always hard on us because they want us to do better. And unless we can acknowledge the problems that we have, we won't ever be able to fix them. And it's going to be very difficult for me because of that reason to partake in this. And so and I will also say that I have religious beliefs that go, or lack thereof,
Well, that's interesting. So apparently there's an atheist on the school board. Everyone's got freedom to religion, right? I said earlier, I will go to my death for your freedom of speech. But I think it's kind of important for you to know, moms and dads, grandmas and grandpas, according to Seth Holden, lack of belief, maybe agnostic, but atheist, agnostic on the school board. Just so you know.
Go against what is wording in the Pledge of Allegiance. So I would argue that our work might not get better because of the divisiveness that this could create, because of
the divisiveness that the Pledge of Allegiance could create. And yet this person kneels for the pledge. Know your audience. Do you think it's not divisive to kneel for the Pledge of Allegiance when you're elected as the vice president of the school board?
of not every single person wanting to take part in the Pledge of Allegiance. I can already point that just for the fact that I didn't second your motion, I've already been emailed and called a communist several times, which I am not. I am an American. I was born here. I will die here, and I love this place.
Guess what? They're not mutually exclusive. You can be an American and a communist. Just ask the person that allegedly was in Dallas one day back in 1963. We won't get into those details.